Hi everyone, it's Tanya and welcome to today's video. So in my previous video I read I always forget the name, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I always want to call him Doctor Strange. I don't why, I don't know, but it's okay. So Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which was one of the biggest books on my TBR, and I tackled it. I enjoyed every page and it was so good. So I thought today it would be fun to make like a list of all the huge books that are on my TBR, all the huge books that I intend and I want to read and to get to, especially now that I have completed Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell and I have seen that it's not that bad, like it's not that scary. You can just take a big book and just read it and it's gonna be good. So that's why today I'm bringing you huge books on my TBR. So, and we will do it in an order from the shortest to the longest. And the first book, the shortest of them all, is Once Upon a River by Diane Satterfield. And this book has, I will tell you how many pages, 513 pages. Okay, that was an acknowledgement. 510 pages without the acknowledgement. I don't really know much about this book, but all I know is that there is this small village, small settlement somewhere in England, and children start disappearing from the village. They go into the woods apparently and they don't return, but one day one girl returns, but she is somehow different. And is it the same girl, or like what happened to her, why has she returned? It's a mystery type of thing in this book, and I have heard a lot of wonderful things about Diane Satterfield. It's going to be my first book by her, so I have never read anything by her before. It's going to be my first one. But Jean from Jean Bookish Thoughts, she read The 13th Tale by Diane Satterfield. She loved it. She said it was very beautifully written. And also Peruse Project, she read this book and she said it's really good. So I trust them and I want to give it a try and see if I'm going to like it. So the first and the shortest book of all my huge books is Once Upon a River. Next book, which is a little bit longer, is Lies of Locke Lamora. This book is also 500 something pages, 530 pages in this book, and this is a story of thief set somewhere. I don't know if it's Venice or if it's just like city inspired by Venice. I honestly don't know, but he's like a trickster. He's kind of Robin Hood, but he doesn't steal for the poor. He's like, the poor can take care of themselves. it's what the blurb says. It's not I haven't read it yet. Oh look, George Martin says that a fresh, original and engrossing tale by a bright new voice. So George Martin approves. That's good. That's good to know. I like books about thieves and I like books about all types of tricksters, so I hope I'm going to love this one as well. Next huge book on my TBR is actually a new one. So this is this book, Black Leopard Red Wolf. This is a fantasy novel and it comes in 620 pages. This is a fantasy novel set in Africa, or like inspired by African culture, or just everything together. I am not sure, but George Martin described it. Marlon James, he describes this book, Game of Thrones, but set in Africa. I really want to learn and to read more books with like African culture, because I haven't read any books. I mean, I tried to read one which was Akata Witch. Didn't like that book, unfortunately, just wasn't my type. And so yeah, I'm just trying to find something that will rock me and will just interest me from the very beginning. So I hope this book is going to be that. However, I'm a little bit nervous because I heard that it's violent, like it's very, very violent. Not really my type of thing, but there can be a lot of other, you know, positive things about this book. African mythology, or just I don't know, maybe sceneries and just, you know, the world. I hope I'm going to love it. Okay, next book I'm going to talk about is series, because right now I have 2 books and both of them are huge. So, and this is The Name of the Wind series. So the first book, The Name of the Wind, and the second, The Wise Man's Fear. The first book comes at approximately 660 pages, and the second book is huge. It's almost 1000 pages. It's 993 pages. So this one is even bigger than the first one. And I'm sure everybody knows about The Name of the Wind. Probably most of you have already read it. I still haven't. I look at them and I'm like, yes, I wanna read, and look how beautiful they are. And I'm like, I'm going to give them a try. I'm soon. I have to choose which huge book I'm going to read next, so let's see. But yeah, so this is another series on my TBR. Another huge book is actually one that I have already started. Look, I am like, I don't know how many, 100? No, 217 pages in, but I started so long ago, and I got distracted with some other books, and I feel like at this point I just need to start from the beginning. I mean, I remember what happened, but just, you know, when you read a book you want to be like completely in the story and like in the world, and at this point I feel like I need to start from the beginning to just get into that feeling of this book again. So this is The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton, and actually I really, I mean, I liked it. It was so smart and like intelligently written. Do you know what I mean? I really enjoyed it. Very clever. And this is a mystery novel. Basically we follow a man who arrives in Hakitika. So a place is called Hakitika, and it's a small tiny settlement in New Zealand, and he wants to make his fortune. He comes to find gold. He comes from England, and as soon as he arrives, strange things start to happen in the place. So one man has been murdered, but like he has always lived separately, didn't really have any friends, didn't have any money, and he was just found dead one day in his house with lots of gold in his house, even though like his whole life he was very poor. And then his wife appears, and he has never had a wife. He has never mentioned a wife, and there were no documents about that he was married. And then there was this whore who was found practically dead on the road leading to the city. And like there are so many strange things happening in the town, and no one can make heads or tails. No one understands what's going on. And yeah, at this where I ended, the first is like trying to figure things out, but it was really very interesting, and I didn't really understand like why, but every chapter starts with like this, like for example, Sun in Capricorn. It's like all connected somehow to astrology, and I really don't understand why. Let me give you another example. For example, this Moon in Taurus, waxing. What is waxing? Every chapter starts like this, and I don't know why. Very interesting. And this book won winner the Man Booker Prize. So 2013, good book. I need to come back to it and finish it, but I will start from the very beginning. Tiagana by Guy Gavriel Kai, and this book has 793 pages, almost 800 pages. The fantasy, again, I'm trying to get into fantasy. So far I wasn't very lucky, but I hope maybe adult fantasy would be better for me. I don't know, I have to try. So I don't remember, so let me just read you the blurb. Tiagana is the internationally celebrated epic of a beleaguered country struggling to be free. It is the tale of a people so cursed by the dark sorceries of the tyrant king that even the very name of their once beautiful home cannot be spoken or remembered. But years after their homeland's devastation, a handful of men and women set in motion a dangerous crusade to overthrow their conquerors and bring back to the world the lost brightness of an obliterated name, Tiagana. So it's going to be something, I guess, about revolt and revolution or something along those lines, I guess. This is a good thing that this is a standalone novel, standalone book. Next one is a series. And this is also a very famous one, and I don't need to explain it to you because I'm sure that all of you know The Eye of the World. And this book comes at almost, it's like 800 pages. So this book comes at 800 pages. I really don't know what this is about. I just know that it's a very famous and beloved fantasy series, and that's why this was the reason why I picked it up. Hype. Yes, hype. That was the reason. But I really want to try it. Who knows, maybe I will like it too. It's okay if I won't, but I want to give it a try. Next one is actually a little bit complicated. So this book is The Dreams of the Red Chamber, and this is classics of Chinese literature. However, recently I figured out that this book is not the whole, even though this book is like 966 pages, but this is an abridgment. This is an abridgment. It has like four books in the series. And now because I'm dumb. I haven't read the whole description when I was buying the book. I'm sure that like when I read the words Chinese ancient classics, I was like, yes. And then everything that came after that was not important to my brain. My brain was like, this is what we need, this is what we need. I should have read the whole description, because when I checked it later, turns out this was an abridgment. I think I will read the whole thing, because abridgment, like, what's the use of reading an abridgment? Anyway, I think I will read the whole thing. So, but anyway, just let me introduce you, because those other books are also huge. I checked, they're like 600 something pages each of them. There are like 4 of them in the series, and this book is 900 pages. It's a huge epic, renowned for large cast of characters and telling observations of the life and social structures of the 18th century China, and is considered by many to be the greatest of all classical Chinese novels. The Red Chamber is an expression used for the sheltered area where the daughters of wealthy Chinese families lived. The book is believed to be based on the author's own life and intended as the memorial to the women he knew in his youth, family members and servants, many of whom proved to be more capable than the men who control their destinies. So yes, book about women in 18th century China. So interesting. This classics sounds just like everything I could ask for. It sounds like I'm going to love it. Like, I really feel like it's going to be brilliant. And I have never read anything from Chinese literature. This is going to be my first one. And also, I have had it on my TBR for so long. It has been sitting on my shelves for so long. It is high time for me to pick it up. But okay, so now, alas, I need to buy those full editions, not the abridgment. Next book is also classics, but this is English classics, and this is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. And this book comes at, I will tell you, 989 pages. So almost 1,000 pages. And also the font is okay. No, it's not too small. I really don't remember what this book is about. I bought it also a long time ago, and this is another book that like was sitting and calling me. I mean, all of them are calling me. All of them are like, hello, you bought us a long time ago. It is high time for you to pick us up and read. What are you doing, woman? So yes, this is one of those. Okay, so now we are up to the biggest, the hugest or the most huge. What is the right word to say? The hugest. Huge is already just huge, right? The biggest books on my TBR, the top three of the biggest books on my TBR. The third place goes to The Eighth Life. And this is my recent buy. You probably have seen it in my last huge book haul. And this is a book written by a Georgian author, but originally it was written in German, because the author, I think she was born in Georgia, and then her family moved to Germany and she grew up there, and so she kind of speaks both languages, German and Georgian, and so the book was written in German and it won some like European Book Award. But basically this is an account of a life of Georgian family living in Soviet Union during Soviet Union times, and it is written in the form of a very long letter of a woman writing, I think, to her sister. So it's going to be very interesting. I haven't read anything by Georgian authors. Yeah, I think I haven't. So this is going to be my first introduction to like Georgian culture. And I mean, I'm a little bit familiar. It's not like I'm familiar with Georgian culture, I am not. But as a Russian, you know, these two countries are very close, so we do have some Georgian food and wine, but that's like it. That is it. I know that Georgia was part of Soviet Union, and that's all my knowledge. So I need to learn more, and yeah, this book is going to be my introduction. Next book is also a series. Actually, not a fantasy series. This is a historical fiction series. And the third book came out just like in the beginning of March. And so this is the Wolf Hall series by Hilary Mantel. And okay, so the first book isn't really that huge. It's like maybe 500 pages. It's 600 pages, 650 pages, the first book. The second book, which is Bring Up the Bodies, oh, this one is a short one. This is 482 pages, and the longest one is the last book. So the last book comes at 882 pages. So altogether is this huge stack of books. So I will hold up the first one. All I know about this series is that it's about, I think, Cromwell. And again, I really like history. I wouldn't call myself a history buff, but I don't know, I just like it. I like reading books, historical fiction books, and just learning about history and visiting on old places. I just like it. So let me read you the blurb. England in the 1520s is a heartbeat from disaster. If the king dies without a male heir, the country could be destroyed by civil war. Henry VIII wants to annul his marriage of 20 years and marry Anne Boleyn. The Pope and most of Europe oppose him. The quest for the perpetual king's freedom destroys his advisor, the brilliant Cardinal Wolsey, and leaves a power vacuum and a deadlock. Into this steps Thomas Cromwell, son of a brutal blacksmith, a political genius, a briber, a bully, and a charmer. Cromwell has broken all the rules of a rigid society in his rise to power, and is prepared to break some more. Rising from the ashes of personal disaster, the loss of young family, and of Wolsey, his beloved patron, he picks his way deftly through a court where man is wolf to a man. Pitting himself against Parliament, the political establishment, and the papacy, he is prepared to reshape England to his own and Henry's desires. So I'm a little bit familiar with like this whole like family drama and like Henry and his wives. I'm familiar with like only this. I think this is going to be a little bit deeper dive for me into English history to understand it better and meet some other people. So I'm very excited about this series. The stack of books, of my huge books, which took the second place, and the first place goes to The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Very big arms, also just like the proportions of this book. For example, for comparison, look, this book is huge, bigger than the rest of them, even in proportion. But again, I'm sure that everybody knows what this series is about. I haven't tried. I really want to find fantasy series, something similar to maybe Harry Potter series that I would love very, very strongly. So I'm on the lookout. I really want to find series that would just drop me up and just transport me into like a different world, especially in these times of this whole virus situation. Everybody needs some break, right? Even though I'm not really panicking, but just, I don't know, just need a break, I guess, from like this whole thing. So yeah, I'm looking for some series and books that would just transport me somewhere. But that is it, guys. So those were all of the books, all of my huge books on my TBR. And yeah, I don't really know what huge book should I start next. I'm very excited about Wolf Hall trilogy, so I think I will read that. Probably I will do Wolf Hall trilogy first. Definitely make a vlog for that. But also I have a lot of small books which I also need to read. So we will see how everything goes. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you are staying safe, and I hope that you are not panicking. Just stay optimistic, believe in the best, and let's hope for the best, right? So bad and hard times happen, but in the end I'm sure everything is going to be fine. So I love you all, and stay strong, stay safe, and I will see you soon in my next videos. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.